Chapter number 1. A Whole New Life. My name is Jack. I am going to tell you my story. My motivations are not about me, but about the one I loved and still do love. But enough of my rambling. Let me tell you my story already. It started when I was 20, and when I was in college. I met the love of my life, and her name was Ivy. She was truly the best thing that ever happened to me. Now, me and Ivy didn't start out in a relationship automatically. We were friends at first, and by that, I mean we didn't really know each other that well. But that would change as we started to know each other better and better. Over time, me and Ivy began to have a liking for each other. Before I knew it, we were dating, and honestly, those moments of me dating her were the best moments of my entire life. Eventually, we moved into a house together, bought a car together, and so on. At this point, me and Ivy had been living together for a good 4 years, and honestly, the both of us couldn't have been happier. Life overall was absolutely amazing for me. I was soon saving my money up for a wedding ring, so I could marry Ivy. Eventually, I had enough money, so I bought the ring. Once I bought the ring, I went home and proposed to Ivy, asking her to marry me. She said yes with excitement in her voice. The both of us hugged each other. Then Ivy said one last thing to me before we went to bed. "I love you so much, Jack." I quickly responded saying, "I love you too." A couple minutes after the excitement and the surprise of me proposing, the both of us decided to go to bed. Me and Ivy laid down on the bed and fell asleep within minutes. I woke up in the dead of night, noticing that Ivy was not in bed with me, but instead, she seemed to have left the room. "Ivy?" I called out, just a tad bit worried, but I started to panic when I didn't get a response. I figured perhaps she was in the kitchen, so I obviously made my way down to the kitchen. I saw a horrifying and gruesome sight as I entered the kitchen. I saw a woman in a clown mask stabbing my wife to death with a knife. There were knife wounds all over my wife's body, and there was blood all over. It was such a gruesome sight that I almost vomited. There were so many stab wounds, and there was so much blood that my wife was almost unidentifiable. In an emotion of rage and dread, I ran at the woman ready to attack her. In a rush, the woman threw a knife at my arm. As soon as the knife hit my arm, she ran out of an open door. My eyes started to water as the realization of what had just happened came over me. "No, Ivy, you can't be dead. There's no way this is possible," I repeatedly said to myself over and over again. I tried my best to stop crying, and I eventually called the police to report what had just happened. After I called the police, they showed up in no time, and they had me treated for my knife wound. The police interrogated me for hours, asking me about every detail of what happened, and most importantly, they asked me if I knew the person who killed my wife. I obviously didn't, so I replied with a simple no. The police told me that they were going to have an investigation at my house, and because of that, I should stay at a hotel or family member's house for about a week. I simply decided to stay at a hotel. As I was staying at the hotel, I was starting to fall into a deep depression, so much so that I didn't even care to eat or sleep. I could only think about my beloved wife, who had been killed by some random person. About a week later, I was able to go back to my house. When I walked into my home, I was immediately hit with a deep sense of sorrow and dread. The realization that my wife was truly gone hit me, and because of that, I was truly and deeply depressed. I sat in my house for several days, hardly ever moving. In fact, I wasn't even going to work. I didn't even care about life anymore. Then, I got a thought in my head, something I hadn't thought of before. I decided that I was no longer going to sit around and do nothing, but rather, I was going to buy a weapon. If I buy a weapon, I could be ready if the person who killed my wife ever came back, I thought to myself. My motivations were now about me, avenging my wife, who had been brutally killed by a psychopath. I went to a gun store, bought a revolver, and 12 bullets to go with it. If this bastard comes back to my house, I'll be ready, I said to myself as I entered my car. When I got back home, it was approaching 9 o'clock at night, and seeing as how I'd been awake for days without any sleep, I was incredibly tired. I went into my house, and quickly went to my bedroom. Before I went to bed, though, I took my revolver, loaded it, and put it in my pocket. I laid on my bed, closed my eyes, and within seconds, I fell asleep. I woke up to what sounded like feminine laughter, and by that point, I knew exactly who it was. It was the one who killed my wife. Rage overcame me. I quickly reached for my gun, pulled it out of my pocket, aimed it, and took a shot at the woman. The woman dodged my shot and threw a knife at me, but the knife just missed me. I quickly took another shot, and the bullet hit the woman's arm. As the bullet pierced the flesh of her arm, she immediately stumbled back in pain while grabbing her arm that had just gotten shot at. I quickly got up from my bed. At this point, I was ready to finally avenge my wife. I walked closer to the woman and asked one question. Just who the hell are you? The woman was in the corner, holding her injured arm. She took off her clown mask and looked at me with a smile on her face. I am Happy the Clown, the best clown there is at that, the woman known as Happy the Clown said in a rather psychotic but joyful tone. Well, clown lady, time for you to die. I think not, Jack. Before I knew it, Happy the Clown pulled out a small handgun and shot me in the leg. I fell to the ground in pain, and I knew that this was it. I was going to die. I'm so sorry, Ivy. I failed you, I mumbled out loud. I then seen Happy the Clown stare down at me, aiming a gun directly at my face. I heard a loud bang, and suddenly, everything faded to black. Then, all of a sudden, I felt like I regained consciousness, but I woke up in pitch blackness. In fact, there was nothing but blackness. It was just a black void. I was laying on what I assumed to be a floor, so I stood up. Hello? Is anyone there? Oh, yes, there is, Jack. In fact, I'm closer than you think, my child. Who are you? I'm quite disappointed that you don't know who I am, but I am known as Deadeyes to you mortals. What are you? Some sort of demon? No, I'm no such demon. I'm more than just some little demon, in fact. But it doesn't matter what I am. It's what I want to give you that matters, Jack. Okay, I'm listening. Good. So all you wanted was to avenge your wife, correct? Yes, that was the least I could have done for her. But I failed. Okay, well, I have the literal power to end a person's life whenever I want to. So what I'm getting at here is that I can make sure Happy the Clown, or Natalie, which is her actual name, will die. In fact, her death will be brutal. You can really do that? But even if you could do that, what would you want in return? Yes, I can really do that. What I want in return is you. I want you to be my proxy, or my soldier in other words. But, Deadeyes, how long will I have to be a proxy for you? For the rest of your life? Now there's more to it than that, though. If you want me to, I can erase your memories. It will be like nothing ever happened. I can also make you younger. In fact, I'll make you 17 again. It will be like a new start, Jack. Think about it. No more pain, no more struggles of the real world. It will be a new start, and Ivy will rest in peace, knowing the one that made her suffer will die an even worse fate. Assuming you're telling the truth, I guess it's for the best. But yes, I'll join you. I will be your proxy. Good. I knew you would join me. After our conversation, I seen Deadeyes walk up to me. He was a tall, devilish creature, with black skin, horns all over his body, and 2 black, empty sockets. Okay, Jack, just let me know whenever you are ready for a new start. Deadeyes walked off saying, whenever you are ready, Jack, just call my name. That was my story, and here I am now. I guess joining Deadeyes is the last thing I will ever do. It is now time for a whole new start. End of Chapter 1. Chapter 2, So It Begins. Deadeyes, I'm ready, Jack called out, ready to start a new life. Well, if you say so, Deadeyes said in a rather ominous tone. Jack suddenly felt as if he were on fire, and he fell to the ground. The pain Jack felt was one of the worst pains he had ever felt. Jack suddenly started to see memories of his life. It was as if his life was flashing before his eyes. He started to see the best moments of his life, and then he lost consciousness. Jack soon woke up, but he didn't remember anything. His memories were completely wiped clean. Jack was also 17, so it was apparent that Deadeyes kept his promise. Where am I? Who am I? Jack said in a very confused tone. Don't worry, kiddo. I'll help you out. Deadeyes began saying into Jack's head. Who is that? Where are you? The name is Deadeyes, and I am your leader. But where I am? Well, I am with you. What do you mean by that? Let's just say I'm closer than you think. Okay, but who am I? Well, I don't know that. That is for you to find out. But if you mean what your name is... Hold on, let me think. Ah yes, that will fit you perfectly. Your name is Amor. I like that name, but what does it mean? It is Spanish for love. Now let's get to the point, shall we? Anyway, if you simply just listen to me, everything will go perfectly for you. I promise. Okay, Deadeyes, I'm listening. Good. First step, put on that outfit you see on the table. Amor was about to ask what table, but then a table suddenly appeared with clothing on it. On the table there was a black hoodie, black shorts, black and white long striped socks, combat boots, and a plain white face mask with black rings around the eyes. Amor did as he was told, and quickly put on the outfit. Look in the mirror. See if you like her clothes. Amor turned around and saw a large mirror behind him, along with his reflection. I love them. Good to know. Also, turn back to the table, because you'll see a sledgehammer and a revolver. Those will be important for later. Trust me. Once again, Amor did as he was told, and grabbed the weapons. What do I do now? Wait 1 second. Amor began to see fire erupt from all around him. The fire was getting closer to him, and suddenly he vanished, as if the fire consumed him whole. He then woke up, standing in the middle of nowhere. In fact, the only thing there was one simple house. Hey, Deadeyes, why are we in the middle of nowhere? Shh, they'll hear you. Quick, hide behind that tree. Amor listened and did so. Look to your right, over at that truck. Amor saw a truck pull into the driveway of the house, and he saw what he assumed to be a father and daughter. As they entered the house, Amor saw the daughter being abused by her father. Who was that? If you mean the girl, then her name is Harley. She's beautiful. I need her. Yes, and she needs you too, Amor. But you two can't be together with that subhuman filth still alive, which is her father. You and Harley will be soulmates, but you will have to kill her father. Okay, Deadeyes. You and Harley will have to get to know each other. I will get you into the house, so don't worry about trying to get in, but make sure you do not get found by Harley's father. Otherwise, we may have to go with a more difficult mission. Alright then. After Harley was abused by her dad, she quickly made her way to her room. Harley just wanted to spend the rest of the night alone. Harley walked into her room, locked the door, and sat on her bed. But suddenly, the lights in her room began to turn on and off repeatedly, and then the lights in her room went out completely. The lights soon turned back on, but then she saw a man dressed in all black and white, holding a sledgehammer. Who are you? Harley said in a scared tone. Shh, Harley, just calm down. I'm here to help you, not hurt you. I promise. Harley jumped off her bed and hugged Amor in joy. You are really going to help me? Amor hugged her back and said, Of course I will, Harley. But what is your name? Harley asked while still hugging Amor. My name is Amor. Amor and Harley continued to talk to each other for a good couple of hours. Amor tried his best to explain who he was to Harley, but it was evident that he hardly knew who he was at this point. Amor also explained to Harley that he couldn't allow himself to be found by her father. Amor and Harley would always talk to each other for hours. Overall, they just really enjoyed their time together. 2 days had passed. At this point, Amor felt a true love for Harley, so he decided to tell her how he felt. Harley, I need to tell you something important. Oh, alright then. What is it? I think I love you, Harley. I think you are beautiful, Amor quickly said while blushing. I like you too, Amor. Really? Yes. Amor got closer to Harley and gave her a kiss. Harley blushed and smiled at Amor. Amor smiled back at her, and the two continued kissing. Do you want to be my girlfriend, Harley? Of course. About a day later, Harley ran to her room crying because she was yet again abused by her father. Amor quickly pulled Harley into a hug and asked, What's the matter? He hurt me again, Harley said while crying into Amor's shoulder. I'm sick of him hurting you, Harley. Amor walked over to his sledgehammer on the ground and handed it to Harley. Harley, he hurts you all the time, and it's obvious with him around that we cannot be together. So, there's only one way to end this. You want me to kill him? But what if I mess up? Shh, you won't fail. After all, I believe in you. Okay, Amor. Harley walked out of her room with a sledgehammer and down the stairs. She saw her father in the kitchen, so she silently and quickly sneaked up behind him. Harley gripped the hammer and hit her father's leg with it as hard as she could. The bone to his leg snapped out of its place, and he fell to the ground in pain while screaming. Harley turned around and saw Amor. Good job. Now let's finish him, Amor suddenly said. Who the hell are you? Harley's father yelled out at Amor. Amor walked closer to him and stomped as hard as he could on his already broken leg. Shut the hell up, you no-good bastard. The man screamed out in pain as Amor's foot made impact with his broken leg. Alright, finish this bastard. Harley raised the sledgehammer in the air and slammed it down on her father's head. A dark substance splattered all over, and a sickening crack and snap of bone could be heard. She picked up the hammer and there is blood leaking from the bottom of the weapon. End of Chapter 2. Chapter number 3, A Killer's Love. I did it, Amor. He's dead. Indeed you did. Now we can truly be together. Amor looked at Harley's white shirt and noticed that it was covered in blood. Let's get you a new shirt, Harley. Okay, Amor. Amor took Harley up to her room, and the two began looking for a clean shirt. Amor pulled out a gray hoodie and said, "Here you go, Harley. I think you'll look beautiful in this." "You really think so?" "Of course." Harley grabbed the hoodie and put it on. "You look so beautiful, Harley." "Thank you," Harley said while blushing. "No problem, love." Amor took Harley's hand, began leading her to the outside, and as they made their way out of the house, Amor made sure to grab his sledgehammer off the ground. "Where are we going?" Harley questioned. "Wherever we want, love," Amor replied. The two began walking into the woods, going nowhere in particular. Then, for the first time in a while, Amor heard Deadeye's voice in his head. "Congratulations. It looks like you completed your mission. Now it is time that you two become my proxies." Harley began to feel a burning feeling in the palm of her hand, but the feeling soon went away. She looked at her left palm, and there was a pentagram-like symbol on it. Amor saw the strange symbol on Harley's hand. Soon, he began to feel a similar feeling to what Harley felt, and he looked at his right palm, only to see the same exact symbol. "What does this symbol mean, Amor?" "It just means that we are the proxies of Deadeye's." Harley didn't know who Deadeye's was, but she didn't seem to care. As long as she was with Amor, she would be happy. "Give her the mask and knives, Amor," Deadeye suddenly said into Amor's head. Soon Amor noticed that he was holding an exact duplicate of his mask, and he also noticed that there were 2 combat knives in his pocket. "Hey, I have a present for you." "What is it, Amor?" Amor put his hammer on the ground and gave Harley the mask and knives. Harley took them, and she smiled. "Do you like them?" "I love them, Amor," Harley said in excitement while beginning to hug Amor. Harley put the mask and put the knives into her pockets. After Amor gave the knives and the mask to Harley, Deadeye's no longer talked to him. It was as if Deadeye's had completely left him, but Amor didn't really seem to care. He just continued on with what he was doing. "Let's keep walking, Harley." "Okay." "Hey, Harley, I just want to say that I really do love you." "I love you too, Amor. You saved me from him. Thank you so much." Amor dropped his hammer on the ground and started to hug Harley. "You don't ever need to say thank you. I helped you because I love you." Amor took his and Harley's masks off. He looked into Harley's eyes. The two soon started blushing, and they began kissing each other. End of story.